Do me for hold this L.
Hold this L.
Hold this L.
Welcome to another episode of Hold This L with your host Lonnie and Cappel. How you doing, man? What's going
What's up,
on?
big bro? Big bro. Not too much, man. Ready to get this show popping. Got a great show ahead of us for the people. So, man, I'm just ready to dive into it. What's been going on with you?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much at all. I'm ready to jump into the show too. We got football is that time of year we start talking about football. Basketball is in full swing, about to start the playoffs, and baseball is popping. I was just looking at some baseball stats and kind of following some games, and I saw that my team was 23-17. I was like, good lord, they played that many games already. Like baseball is in it. So yeah, so got a lot of sports going on, a lot to talk about. So let's go ahead and get into it. So yesterday was a historic day. We had the long-awaited 2020 Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and we had some very prominent people inducted into the Hall of Fame. As you know, the pandemic is what held back the ceremony. So now that people are able to have events and be more in crowds, and things are being a little bit more safer with the vaccine and all, they had the actual ceremony yesterday. And I'm going to highlight the names of people who were inducted. So, some people I don't know, but there was only 9 people. Patrick Baumann, he was I don't know who that is. I'll be honest with you. Kobe Bryant, Tamika Catchings, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Kim Mulkey, Barbara Stevens, Eddie Sutton, and Rudy Tomjanovich. And of course, the noticeable names in that: Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, and of course Kobe Bryant. So what are your thoughts on how that ceremony went last night?
It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. Of course, Kevin Garnett went first. And one of the things I like, we all know when it comes to sports and stuff like that, it's a brotherhood. Seems like each one of them kind of thanked each other um, in the midst of their own speeches. Kevin Garnett thanked Tim Duncan for helping him be a better player, and having to step his game up to be able to compete against them, and vice versa. Tim Duncan did the same thing. Um, like I said, it was a pretty awesome ceremony. I didn't actually get to watch Kevin Garnett's speech. I joined a little later, but I did get to watch Tim Duncan's full speech, which was amazing. I didn't even realize that Tim Duncan didn't even touch a basketball till he was 14 years old. He was a swimmer. And due to, I think, the loss of his mom and a big hurricane or something that damaged the local pool that he competed in, because his sister was like an Olympic swimmer. So that was really where he was going. And, he had no idea. He said, when he hit 14 and, he started playing basketball, like he had no clue. And he said it was just amazing because his parents had this lanky, tall kid and they knew zero about basketball, like nothing, absolutely nothing. And just his story of how he got to Wake Forest and stuff like that. And like, of course, I'm one of them people. I didn't really hear about Tim Duncan until like the end of his career at Wake Forest and how good he was. I mean, but I don't think a lot of people can't sit here and tell me they did, because I just know. I mean, he wasn't one of those highly touted high school players coming out. No, that wasn't Tim Duncan. I mean, like I say, he didn't pick up a basketball till he was 14, but just to turn out the career he turned out from where it started to where it ended, I mean, is amazing. And obviously, as you know how I feel about Kobe. Yeah, that one was a tough one for me. It definitely was. Vanessa did a great job as far as having Michael up there with her and all that. It was just touching because that was his favorite player. It was his dream, to always be Michael. And to have Michael as the presenter to walk his wife up there and allow her, to speak on his behalf, and just the things she said, the touching things she said, the impact he had on several people. It's not even really an impact as far as sports. It's an impact as far as mentality. You know, the way he impacted the way people go after things, the way, you know, I mean, to work hard is basically to be called the Mamba mentality, to go after it with your all. I mean, he basically created a mentality in people. So I mean, it was touching, man. I can't get too much into it without getting a little bit emotional. So I'm not gonna go too far in the cold. But I did all my crying yesterday, so I'm gonna leave it at that.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I was listening to something the other day about how close Kobe and Michael was. People didn't really know how close they were until Michael actually came out and explained their relationship, which was surprising to a lot of people because Michael has been this close person. A lot of people, you know, he hadn't let a lot of people into his personal life. And somebody said that the only time they seen him show the emotion that he showed for Kobe was with his dad. So that kind of lets you know how much affinity he had for Kobe Bryant, because we know how much affinity he had for his dad, and we've never seen him emotional about any other person ever, besides his dad. So, and that was kind of a nice story, you know, to hear the relationship between Michael and Kobe, and of course for Michael too, because you know people just realize that Michael's a human being.
Yeah.
You know, so it's good to see that that side of him. How was he emotionally last night?
Well, you know, as far as the presenter, they didn't say anything. He just stood to the side.
Okay.
The people who the actual people who was like the presenters of the Hall of Fame people, they didn't talk. They just walked up there with him. Like even with Tim Duncan, David Robinson was his presenter, but all he did was walk up to the stage with him and go sit down. And Tim
Okay.
Duncan started talking. So the presenters didn't actually say anything. He just Michael just kind of stood there and smiled because he was like, you know, Vanessa had a moment where she talked about, you know, why Kobe always played injured,
Hmm.
broken fingers, and how he, you know, one of my favorite things of all time was how he taught himself to shoot left-handed when he broke his right finger. Um, but he said the reason that, you know, he always played hurt and stuff because he remembered him and his dad sitting in the nosebleeds going to watch his favorite player. And Vanessa kind of looked back and, you know, Michael kind of smiled as she was saying that, like, you know, they would be in the nosebleeds just that one time to go see Michael Jordan. He said, you know, you got people who save up money. There's not everybody's not able to just go to a basketball game. So you got people who save up money for months and months and months just to go see this guy play, and then he don't play. You know, so you know that was his thing. It was always for the fans. You know, the injuries. We all talked about the Mamba mentality and his push, his drive, and all that, but he didn't do it for that. He did it for us. You know, he didn't want a single fan to miss out on a game in which Kobe Bryant was playing, which it was major, and you just know you could see you saw the impact MJ had. You could see the emotion in his face without it actually being shown. Like you say, Michael is very stoic, so you don't get a whole lot of him, but you could just tell. I mean, it meant a lot, but it was amazing, bro. It was amazing. I could literally talk about it forever. It was great. It was great. I
Yeah.
miss him. I'm sure a lot of other people miss him. It was big. It was big. I was kudos to Vanessa for getting up there and being able to, you know, make that speech. I know that had to be difficult. Giving a Hall of Fame speech for your late husband, who was one of the greatest of all time. So, you know, to even be up to get the energy and the strength to go up there by herself. Because even when she got up on the stage right before she started talking, it might have been the oldest daughter. Um, but she was like, I'm okay. I'm okay. You know, like she, you know, you could tell she had to that's something you just can't prepare for. It was amazing. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
So, in 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 this Hall of Fame ceremony, Rudy Tomjanovich was there too, and it was said that he made a comment that I guess could be, I wouldn't say controversial, but definitely, um, people will probably have a different of opinion about it. What was that comment that he made?
Well, comment that Rudy made, which I am 100% for. We'll get in that in a second. But he said that Robert Horry deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and he should be in there. He should be a member, and it's well deserved. And for me, I totally agree. Of course, I want to get your take on it first and how you feel about it, but I liked the little nugget he threw out there. That gave me. I'm not a big Rudy Tomjanovich fan. I've never really been. I haven't heard a lot about him. I don't think I was as much of a basketball connoisseur back when he was really coaching and into his thing. But to come out and give a shout out like that was major to me, and I loved it.
I mean, I like Rudy Tomjanovich as a coach. I remember when he was coaching. I was much into basketball. The Houston Rockets team with Sam Cassell, Kenny
Smith.
Kenny Smith. Of course, the Dream, Robert Horry, and that was a really good team. Robert Horry, that was the beginning of his team. That's the first team he played for. Robert Horry has been the ultimate role player. If there's like superstar, star, and then there's something else, and then there's role player, Robert Horry is like that something else. Like, he was better than a role player, but he wasn't a star. Should he get into the Hall of Fame? I don't think it's a absolute no. I think it is a maybe, depending on who's eligible for that year and who is he up against. Because while he was great for the Spurs, the Lakers, the Rockets, he was still a role player. He stepped up in moments throughout the series. He stepped up in moments of the playoff series and our finals and made big plays. And I think because he was very consistent in doing so and played on some of the best teams in history, yes, he should be considered. But I don't think it's one of those things where you just say, yes, he should get in. Like, because he's eligible now. So if that's the case, if it was like a no-brainer, he would be there. I liken it to like this 2020 induction class, Michael Cooper. Michael Cooper's name is always brought up when people mention the great Lakers team. People talk about Michael Cooper. But Michael Cooper just got inducted this year, 2021. He was finished playing basketball before Robert Horry even. I think he was finished playing. I think he retired before Robert Horry even stepped into the NBA. So that lets you know that when you have great role players, like I said, if there was a term for those players in between star and role player, that's what those players would be, because they show up in great moments consistently, and they've been on great teams, and they have championships, multiple championships. And I think, do they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? The answer is yes, but not a definitive yes for me. It's like I said, it's one of those, when the names come up for people who are finalists, who are you up against? Who are you up against? The votes have to be, when people vote, those votes are spread out through all the people that people feel are eligible to be in the Hall of Fame that year. And if he gets in based on that, hey, I'm all for it. But I don't think it's one of those things where you could just say, oh man, Robert Horry is for sure Hall of Famer. Because if Robert Horry was the leader of a team, or one of the people that you look at as a backbone of a team, would we have seen him as great? If Robert Horry is on bad teams, would he have propelled? So that's the reason why I say it's not a definitive yes. But because that wasn't the case, and he was on great teams, and he consistently played well as a staple of those teams, I think there's an argument for him to be there, but it's not a definitive yes for me.
Well, for me it is. And I'm gonna tell you why. And I know a lot of people talk about rings and all that. It's not about the rings. The rings is a part of it. He got 7 rings. At least 4 of those rings don't happen if it's not for him. I remember 2 very, very well. As far as the Lakers late time shot against the Sacramento Kings to take them out, either them or the Spurs. It was one of the 2 of them to take them out with that late 3 for the Lakers to even get to the finals that year. I think it was a game 7. I think he also did the same thing with the Spurs, the same thing with the Rockets.
No, the same thing with the Rockets or the Spurs.
He may have not done it with the Rockets, but I thought not in that fashion. But no. I think he hit a couple of game-winning shots, is what I'm saying, in the playoffs. But the shot, I would have counted at least 1 or 2, if not 3, between Tim Duncan and Kobe Bryant rings was because of him. I mean, at least one of each one of their rings, they both have 5. Without Robert Horry, both of them have 4, at least, if not less than that.
I don't look at it like that, because unless you hit the game-winning shot,
he did.
unless you hit the game-winning shot with 0 seconds on the clock in a Game 7. That's the only way I can say you don't win.
Did.
And that one time. No,
Right.
it was one time in a Game 7 to move on to the next. I didn't say a game-winning shot. Period. He hit more than one game-winning shots in series, but not in Game 7s to move on to another series or win the championship. So I'll give you that, but he's not the only role player who's done that before. Like, do you think Derek Fisher should be a Hall of Famer? Because he's very close to Robert Horry and what he's done as a role player. He is close. He played on a championship team with the Spurs. He played on a championship team with the Lakers. He had plenty of game-winning shots. He was very pivotal in those on both of those teams in those series. He was, like I said, so I'm not saying that he was equal to Robert Horry, but to me, the same argument can be made for Derek Fisher.
What championship did Derek Fisher win with the Spurs? All 5 of his championships came with the Lakers.
Oh, well, I thought he won some. I knew he was on the Spurs. I thought he won.
Yeah, he was on it, but no. Robert Horry is the only one to go to 3 different teams and win championships.
But that's not. But that to me is that's
and
not really my argument.
But my thing is,
that's still not my argument. My argument was that Derek Fisher was a high-profile role player on championships and won championships. So to me, it wasn't that Robert Horry was on 3 different teams. To me, that's irrelevant. The relevancy for Robert Horry is what he did on those championship teams.
Yeah.
And the reason why I brought Derek Fisher in is because Derek Fisher was just as important on the championship teams he played on, because he wasn't like somebody that just came off the bench and then just played for 15 minutes. Right? I mean, Derek Fisher played 20 minutes plus. He put up big games. Sometimes he carried the team to win games when Kobe was. Sometimes as far as him being hot and hitting shots late in games, yes. No superstar wins every game on their own. There were times where Derek Fisher was hot, and you look at the box score and you like Derek Fisher, 27, 28 points. He was the reason they won that game. That's my point. So when I say carry,
but maybe you're right.
When I say he carried the team, I'm talking about like late in game. Derek Fisher was hot. Derek Fisher was so same thing with Robert Horry. There was times where like at the end of the games, Robert Horry is just hot. He's the one that's hitting shots, also playing good defense. So I look at those players as the same type of player as far as what they mean to the team. If rings matter to you, to like say, well, he got 7 rings, that means something, then I get that. And if that's a part of why somebody thinks somebody should go in the Hall of Fame, I mean, I'm not going to argue that. I don't look at it that way. I look at it that way only for the superstars. I don't look at it
that way either. But I know 7 out of them 7 rings, at least 3 or 4 of them, if he don't hit big shots, they don't get them. As far as that team, you can only argue that Derek Fisher hit 1 big shot which is the .4 against the Spurs. Again, in any playoffs, you bring me up another shot. I can bring you up at least 4 or 5 that Robert Horry hit. You bring me up more than just that 1.4 that wasn't even for the finals to get for Derek to elevate a team to the next level. I've seen Robert Horry do it with several teams in several clutch times. I've seen Derek Fisher do it once.
I'm not talking about last second shots. I'm talking about consistency and being a major part. But that to me, that'll make you a Hall of Famer, just because you consistently hit big shots at the end of a game to send a team to the next level.
The most important games.
That still don't make you a Hall of Famer to me. Does it put you?
I mean,
what puts him in the conversation? What puts him in the conversation for me is his consistent play and big time play throughout his career. He hit big shots. He hit big shots throughout his career in regular season and in the playoffs. To me, it's that totality is what makes him in the conversation. My point about bringing Derek Fisher up is that Derek Fisher was also that type of player. He was a consistent player. He was in that tier to me. Like, you're not just a role player. Like, when you available, people want you on their team. They want you. They know you're not a star that's going to be the backbone of the team, but they know you are somebody that's going to help propel them to keep them at the next level and help them win the championship. It don't have to happen in the last seconds of the game. So that's why I put Derek Fisher. So to me, if Robert Horry is being mentioned, I think the main reason I think people mention Robert Horry is because those teams won championships. They won. But I don't look at it as because of him. I look at it as because he did his job along with everybody else that did their job to win those championships.
Well, let me ask you a question. You got 5 seconds left on the clock. You got Derek Fisher and Robert Horry wide open to take a 3 to win the game. Who you want to have the ball?
Honestly, bruh, that's not a fair question.
It's just a simple question.
I mean, you're not gonna like my answer.
If you got Kobe Bryant dribbling the ball to the goal,
you're not gonna like my answer.
It don't matter. It's not a like. It's your opinion.
My opinion, honestly, in that situation, I shoot it to whoever open because I've got equal faith in both of them.
I just said both of them are open. That's what I'm saying. Both of them are open. You got the option to give it to either one. Who you want taking that last shot? Robert Horry or
whichever one is the easiest pass. And I'm being honest because I don't look at either one of them as, oh, he's a better shooter than Derek Fisher or Derek Fisher. They both are great shooters.
I'm just saying.
Robert Horry just had
big
more
shot
opportunity
for a reason
because he had more opportunity to do that. He was given that. Listen, if I've only been given a chance to hit the last shot. You can liken it to that trust you if you want to say that, but the truth of the matter is he was open to shoot the shot. He was given the ball to shoot the shot. I guarantee you if we was, and I don't even know if we could ever go and look for this data because we don't just have that capability, but I guarantee you if you look at the opportunities that Derek Fisher had to shoot the last shot and Robert Horry probably had more opportunities. And I don't think it had anything to do with the fact that he was trusted more. It probably had more to do with the fact that he was taller. He could get his shot off easier. Derek Fisher also was a ball handler, so maybe Derek Fisher was handling the ball. Like, it's probably things that go into that created more opportunity for him to get the last shot because Robert Horry was a catch and shoot guy. He wasn't a guard. So a lot of times he would probably get more shots like that simply because he's waiting on the person that's driving to give him the shot. But my point is, to me, they were both really good shooters. Robert Horry just had more opportunities for last second shots in those moments. I wouldn't, if I was bringing the ball down the court and they both was open, I would pass it to whoever easy to get the ball to in that moment.
But let me, I hear you. But first of all, Derek Fisher was a spot up shooter too. He was not bringing the ball down the court. That was usually Kobe Bryant. And Kobe Bryant was running the offense.
My point is, Derek Fisher was a guard, and there was times where he would have the ball in his hands, and he wasn't a wing. It was often. Derek Fisher was not a player like Robert Horry. Derek Fisher had the ball in his hands more often. Derek Fisher passed the ball to open people more often because his role was different on the team. I didn't say he was a point guard. I said he had the ball in his hands more. I'll get you, if you go look at assists, who you think got more assists? If you just had to guess, who would you think will have more assists?
I know who got more assists, but I could almost guarantee it's not a big difference. He probably averaged 4 assists for his career.
But that's not average. 4 assists a game is not an average number for if you look at the majority of players. Guard? For a guard, it is. That's my point. Because of his positionality, he had the ball in his hands more. He had more assists because he was passing the ball more. People getting open shots. That's the only reason why I said that. Robert Horry, he was more of a spot up shooter, catch and shoot. I didn't say Derek Fisher wasn't that. I said Robert Horry was more of that. He was a 3-and-D guy. 3-and-D guys shoot more 3-pointers than most people because that's what they're waiting at on the wing for the shot. They don't create their own shots.
Mm-hmm. So neither did Derek Fisher.
Derek Fisher could create his own shot. He created his own shot plenty of times. Derek Fisher could dribble. Derek Fisher wasn't a point guard. He's a shooting guard for a reason. Shooting guards don't just spot up on a 3-pointer. Shooting guards shoot from all over the court.
He's a point guard, not a shooting guard.
Derek Fisher played shooting guard most. Derek Fisher played a lot of shooting guard. Derek Fisher played a lot of shooting guard.
Kobe was the shooting guard.
Kobe was a shooting guard by title. But you just said who brought the ball up the court most of the time.
Yeah.
Okay, then. That's a point guard. That's a possession. So by title, Kobe was a shooting guard, but a lot of times he took control and brought the ball up the court, and he ran the offense. So what position would that have put Derek Fisher? Shooting guard. He did that with the Spurs too. So by title, he was a point guard, but a lot of times he played the 2.
To me,
who was the point guard on the Spurs? Who was the point guard on the Spurs? No.
Tony Parker.
Yes. So if Derek Fisher was my title.
How long did Derek Fisher play for the Spurs? A year? Did he even play for the Spurs?
He played for the Spurs. He didn't play for the Lakers his whole career. He played
like
for the Spurs a little bit. But my point is, he was on that team. When he was on that team, if he was living as a point guard, who was the actual point guard?
Yeah.
Okay,
kind of
so
making my point. That was my
no,
point.
I'm not making your point. No,
He never
no.
had the ball in his hand. He was a spot up shooter that shot the ball. He shot the three. He was a spot up
No.
shooter. He
My
was a
point,
role player.
no, I'm not making your point. The reason why we brought this up was simply because we were saying that Derek Fisher did more than just shoot the ball on the outside. You said, well, he was a point guard. I said, no, he wasn't just a point guard. He did more than just shoot. He brought the ball up, and at times, he caught the ball and shot. He did both. But anyway, this ain't even about Derek Fisher. This is about Robert Horry being in the Hall of Fame. And to me, like I said, I think that he probably will get in. I don't have an argument for him not to get in, but it's not a definitive yes. Like, his name is on it, his name is eligible, bam, he's in. Like, to me, definitive yes are only people like Kobe, like the people that got in, Kevin Garnett, like even Tim Hardaway to me wasn't a definitive yes, but he got in because look how long it took him to get in. He just got in. He was a great player. You know what I'm saying? Most people would say, do you want Robert Horry on your team? You want Tim Hardaway? Most people would probably say Tim Hardaway because Tim Hardaway was looked at as a number one player on the team, a team that could lead the team. Like, to me, Robert Horry is a person you want after you picked your first three people, maybe your first two people. Tim Hardaway was a person you would want, like, I want him. That's my point guard, first pick. Vince Carter was like, that's my shoot small forward, first pick. None of them have the rings that Robert Horry have, but most people would say, Tim Hardaway just got in the Hall of Fame.
I know.
And Tim Hardaway, how many? Listen, think about Tim Hardaway and think about Robert Horry.
I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm not saying he wasn't a beast. Not saying he wasn't good.
I'm talking about when
like he was a 3-point shooter.
Tim Hardaway was a point guard. Tim Hardaway was a killer crossover. Tim Hardaway created the crossover. Yes, Tim Hardaway. Go do your research. Them air raids that came out, they came out when Tim Hardaway came out with their crossover. It was Tim Hardaway first that people talked about when he was shaking people with the crossover. Then it was Allen Iverson, because Tim Hardaway came before Allen Iverson.
Oh, I know.
And Tim Hardaway, when Tim Hardaway was playing with the Heat, Tim Hardaway was a beast, which is why he's in the Hall of Fame now. But my point is like Robert Horry, great player. Great role player. Like I say, because there's no term for anything other than superstar star role player. But he probably will get in, but it's not a definitive yes. Like if he don't make it in for 10 more years, I can be like, I understand why. You know, they got people coming up that were stars in the league and that got stats that just like look great, and compared to his stats, they're just minimal. And the only thing you can pop up is, you know, because when they look at Hall of Fame numbers, they don't just go and look at the moments. They look at everything. So if you look at Robert Horry, you look at his 7 rings as a role player, and you look at his moments. But if you look at his numbers, most people would be like, man, I'm not Hall of Fame numbers. Why were you talking about this?
I like to look at the impact that you had on the teams that you played for and the importance of it. That would be, for me, that would be just like saying, in my opinion, if that was the case, no announcer should be in the freaking Hall of Fame. For what?
Well, I don't know why they do that, so I'm not going to argue with you on that. I feel like
because I know why they do it, because of the impact they had on that team in the game for as long as they did. You know, I feel like the Hall of Fame ain't all about stats, and sometimes I feel like the impact that you had on the game could get you in the Hall of Fame, and the impact you had on certain teams. And I feel like Robert Horry's impact, no matter where he went,
you're right. The impact,
integral.
The impact can get you in the Hall of Fame, which is why I bring up a person like Michael Cooper, because Michael Cooper, by the numbers, was not a Hall of Fame player. His impact is what put him in the Hall of Fame. But again, I say, look how long it took him to get there. So it was never definitive for Michael Cooper, and it's not definitive for Robert Horry, but he probably will get in. It's just not definitive. I think Rudy Tomjanovich was doing his due diligence by making sure people don't forget Robert Horry. Because Robert Horry is already eligible for the Hall of Fame. He's been eligible for the Hall of Fame. He's been out of the league for years.
I'm not gonna sit here and say he was a first team Hall of Famer, like a first ballot Hall of Famer, but it's time.
Well, you know,
I think it's time. I think it's been over 10 years. I think since he's retired. I think it's time. At least time to start talking about it.
So I don't know the full rules of the Hall of Fame. I don't know if there's a cap on how many people get in per year. But again, for me, it's the class of people that year will determine when he gets in. if there's somebody who is more worthy based on, the stats and the impact that they had when you combine everything else than Robert Horry, then I think that person should be ahead of him. But if there's a year where, like let's say it's 9 finalists this year, let's say that's what it is every year. You got 9 finalists. If he gets in because those 9 finalists, he falls into that category of being in there, and the people that are eligible, like they fall short to what he did, yeah. But if there's somebody who more deserving, I think he just needs to wait another year. So that's what I mean by it's not definitive. It's all depending on who's eligible when that year comes up for me.
And I feel you on that. Who was that first guy you named that we don't even know who he is?
I can't even remember.
You don't have to bring it back up. But no, you don't have to. I thought you just may have.
Patrick Baumann.
I thought you may have just still had it up. Who is that?
I don't know. I said I didn't know him.
I know, but that's if you see where I'm going with that. Like,
but that dude, but he may have been Robert Horry back in the '60s. I mean, like he may have been a big shot person. So I mean, I don't know. Or he may be an announcer.
I guarantee you, 20 years from now, people will still know who Robert Horry is.
You're right, because we'll be alive 20 years from now. We know who he is.
But we don't know who he is.
If this dude played in the 60s.
If he was playing in the 40s or
the 50s. That's what I'm saying. You know what?
He dead?
I don't. He could be. Why are you laughing? He could be dead. Let me pull it up real quick, because now I want to know who he is. Give us some time, y'all. Give me a second. Patrick Baumann, because I really want to know who this guy is now that we're talking about him. This dude is a Swiss. Oh, he died 2 years ago. He's a Swiss basketball player. He's an executive. He was a Swiss basketball executive. He was the president of the Global Association. Yeah, he didn't even play basketball. He
had a big impact. I mean, the president of the Global.
Yeah, he had an impact. When you look at, he was.
I mean, that's big.
He was president of FIBA. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah.
So that's why we don't know him, because most people don't know executives.
Don't know. Yeah.
And when I first read that, that's actually what I assumed, is that maybe he was not a basketball player, but I mean.
Well, I didn't know who he was because I didn't see that part of the ceremony last night. I think he may have been one of the first people. Obviously, he passed away. Rest in peace. So they probably talked about him early on before I got on it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Robert Horry will get in. It's just, like I said,
put Big Shot Bob in right now.
Well, maybe getting in 2022. The 2021 class is already announced. Anyways, moving on. We got the last day of the regular season for basketball is today. A lot of teams are going to just be, putting in reserves. But we got a few teams that's probably going to play their starters. The Lakers, if they win and the Trailblazers lose, then the Lakers move into that 6th spot. Don't have to worry about no play-in game. So they probably gonna play their starters, both teams. You got a couple of teams that can move in position. Like I know in the Eastern Conference, the Pacers, the Wizards, and I can't remember the other team, but it's 3 teams with the exact same record, but they're all in the play-in. So they're basically playing for a position. You want to be in that 7-8 seed in the play-in, because if you win, then you're done. Yeah, but if you lose, then you got to play another game. So, what's your thoughts on the playoff games, the play-in games right now? Right now, the play-in teams for sure in the East: Boston, Charlotte, Washington, Indiana. It's Charlotte, Washington, Indiana to have all 3 the same record, 33 and 38. So Boston is pretty much locked into that 7th spot. But I'm pretty sure Washington would love to move up to that 8th spot, as well as Indiana. So let's do it like this, because I know it's kind of hard to say who's gonna win the play-in game. We don't know who's gonna be playing who. But if Boston and Charlotte were to stay the 7-8 seed and Washington, Indiana were to stay the 9-10 seed, which 4 of those teams do you think is gonna make it to the actual playoffs?
To be honest with you, I think all 3 of those teams would want to play Boston right now and be that 8 seed.
I agree,
because Boston with no Jaylen Brown is just not you. They're not gonna beat nobody. I mean, Jason Tatum is a bona fide star, but he can't do it by himself. So I would think, if Charlotte, Washington, Indiana, if all 3 of those teams I think are playing today, well, fantasy purpose wise, those are three teams that you want to play. They're all going to compete unless one game is earlier than the other. But in my opinion, I totally think I don't know who. I really don't know. I would have to actually go look at the matchups and see who I thought was going to win. It would be more of a discussion if I felt like they were playing. Some of them were playing against each other.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, I could very well see it staying the same. But I will say this: everybody better watch out for the Wizards, because Russell Westbrook is dude's on another level right now. I don't know where he's in another stratosphere right now, actually. With this play. The only team that I really think is important in that 7 through 10 in the East is Washington. I don't think any of the other teams can compete.
Yeah, I think out of those teams, I think the team that's going to make the playoffs, to be honest with you, is going to be Washington and Indiana. I think if if Sabonis is not hurt, I know he didn't play last game, but I don't know how serious his injury is. If Sabonis is not hurt, and I know they don't have Brogdon, but if Sabonis is healthy and they're able to maybe play, if they're able to maybe play Charlotte, like it kind of depends. If I look at it as is, let's say Boston and Charlotte, they play each other. Washington, Indiana, they play each other. Indiana's not making the playoffs because they're not gonna beat Washington. I think Washington's gonna win. So like I said, it's kind of hard to really say who's gonna make it because we don't know who's gonna be in the play-in, and what positionality yet. But the one team that I will say for sure that I think is gonna make it in is Washington. That's the only team that I can honestly say for sure that I believe is gonna make it in is Washington. And it's gonna be interesting to see who they play and where they end up because, I mean, Washington playing some good basketball right now.
They are,
and
they're doing it without Beal.
I know
they getting him back healthy.
Yeah, so I feel I don't worry, but whoever they play against, they're gonna make it a series.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be no this first round for whoever playing Washington, they got it. Nah, it's gonna make it a series. And on the Western Conference, like I said, the Lakers, if they win, who holds the tiebreaker? Do you know who holds the tiebreaker? I'm assuming
Portland. Remember, Portland beat them a week or two ago. So yeah, Portland,
but I didn't know So they had their own tiebreaker. Okay.
Yeah, that's why right now Lakers are the 7th seed because they have the same record as Portland right now.
Oh,
they both have the same record.
Okay, so Portland, if they lose to Denver, that's a matchup for them. And
the problem is Denver gonna play their players.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Denver has reason to, unless they want to drop to the number 4 seed. Right now, Denver is playing the number 6 seed, which is Portland. So Denver should want to play Portland.
Do they want to? Would you prefer to play Portland or would you prefer to play Dallas?
If I was Denver, I would prefer to play.
I would prefer Dallas.
Dallas, yeah, you're right. I would prefer to play. But
so right I don't see Denver pushing to win this game. I really don't. Because to me, it's a better matchup for them. Dallas is good, but Dallas is not 100% right now. I'm actually very impressed that Dallas won them last few games because I thought they were going to be the ones to drop to the 7th seed. That's actually who I was expecting to drop a couple games.
But see, this is also the thing. It's like it's hard to predict, right? Because who holds the tiebreaker for Dallas and Portland? Because Dallas is 41-29. So if they lose, they're 41-30 as well. So what is the true seeding if they're all three end up tied? Well, they all three won't end up tied because, it is possible that all three will end up tied.
If Dallas loses today,
I don't think they can drop down. So I'm wondering.
Yes, they can. The Lakers can drop them. The Lakers can jump them. They have the tiebreaker over the Lakers. The Lakers can jump Dallas. They just can't jump Portland.
Which means that for Denver, I feel like because that's not set in stone, Denver may play. Because if it also depends on who plays when.
Oh, they did it on purpose. No, the NBA, that's what I was getting to next. Them son of a guns made sure Portland, the Lakers, and Denver, and Dallas all play at 8:00 tonight. All of them.
That's good.
I know.
That's good.
The NBA did that perfectly.
That means that they probably all gonna play their people.
They all have to play. because they
which
don't know
which
where they're gonna be seated.
which means so that to me like that means that Denver probably is going to play because they have no idea what's going to happen with Dallas. And so if I look at the actual matchups, if you look at the matchups right now, um, Dallas is playing the Mavericks are playing the Timberwolves, huh? Dallas playing the Timberwolves, and yeah, Nuggets Trailblazers. Of course, that's the good one. The Lakers are playing the Pelicans.
Yeah.
I mean, so we'll see how it shake up. We'll see how it shake up. The play-in games are scheduled for Tuesday of,
Hmm.
and the only team that's actually scheduled to play is the Celtics. And then for Wednesday, the Spurs because they're locked into their spots. So it's going to be very interesting. These playoff play-in tournaments, these play-in games, but I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. On the NFL news, we got the regular season schedules. They've been released. People are already, I think, placing bets on Super Bowl favorites and lines for teams. First game of the year, Tampa Bay is playing Dallas. That's going to be a highlight game for the first week. Of course, week 4 we got the Patriots against the Bucks. That's going to be a highlight game. But without getting too deep into football, all right now, um, anything that you noticed this in the schedule that is a highlight for you, or anything that you think is really going to be like a, hey, this is going to really determine the season for a certain team or something like that. What's that?
Yeah. 49ers gonna win the Super Bowl.
Okay, and to further news,
No, I'm
so
kidding.
let's
I'm
just
kidding.
let's just go ahead and go ahead and get this out the way. Early Super Bowl picks for early Super Bowl matchup. Let's not do picks. Let's just do matchup. Who's gonna be in the Super Bowl? We reserve the right to make changes once the season starts and we start seeing how teams are. But right now, just based off of the draft and who has what on their team, who are your Super Bowl picks?
All right. I'm gonna give you two sets. Okay. I'm gonna give you who I want to go and who I think is going.
Nope, because we know who you want to go. Who do you think is going?
Honestly, the Chiefs is my early pick for the East. And for the West, it's kind of tough for me because
Just gonna say the 49ers, man. Just go ahead and
no,
say it.
no, I truly believe the 49ers can win it, but I'm not 100%. I can't give them as my early prediction right now, not knowing what Trey Lance is gonna be about. I gotta see Trey Lance play first. So if we just gonna be realistic about it, as crazy as this gonna sound, my early pick is gonna no, I can't say it. I can't even do it. I can't even fix my mouth to actually say it. Um, I'm gonna go with the Bucks.
Who are you gonna say?
I don't even want to. That was kind of the point, man. I didn't want
No, I'm
to.
curious now. I'm like, who are you gonna say? Okay, don't say it, but tell me why you changed your mind.
Because regardless of how good I think they're gonna be, they'll find a way to screw it up. If that's not telling you enough, that should. Uh, that just look at put it this way, because I don't even want to say their name. Just look at the stars on my hat.
You better not be talking about the Cowboys.
Yes, I was.
What? Get off the show. Get off the show. Listen,
I'm the one said I wasn't gonna say it. You forced it out.
The fact that you thought it is blasphemous.
Because I'm trying. No, I'm just trying to be realistic with what they drafted, what they have, and where I see them building.
Yeah.
I truly believe that they could be a team that could compete for a Super Bowl this year. I mean, I'm not. Of course, I don't think it's gonna happen, but
Yeah.
But if I'm gonna take all the biasness out of it and the way the Cowboys are, I mean, just built with the team they have, the linebacker they drafted, the offense that they have. They made a couple of good moves on defense and stuff. I just really think they do have a good opportunity to be a really strong team in the NFC. As much as I hate to admit that.
Okay, so um, I got you with the Chiefs, and for me, it's gonna be the Chiefs and the Packers. I think Aaron Rodgers is gonna come with a vengeance. Third year with this new coach, he has something to prove. He loves he's one of those people when they have like something to prove, they hold a grudge. It fuels them. Um, I can't see like they've been in the NFC Championship game 2 years in a row. With if the coach makes the right decision on fourth down, maybe they win that game. Maybe they played the Super Bowl last year. You know, who knows? But with the game, when you look historically at teams who win a Super Bowl, they come back and they're just not the same team. They
Hmm.
even if they play well, they're just not as good as they were.
Right.
You can say that about Kansas City. Kansas City won a Super Bowl the second year, but that first but this I mean, Kansas City won the Super Bowl against 49ers, but this last year, I would say they didn't look as good. They had moments where they looked great, but I feel like the year they won the Super Bowl, they looked more like a Super Bowl team throughout the whole year compared to this year. Just comparing them. I don't think there's a team that was better than them in both years, but they just seem to be a little less of a version than themselves compared to the year they won a Super Bowl. And I think that's a norm for teams that win the Super Bowl. Um,
Yeah.
the Bucks, they have a good team. I have every right for people to say that they should win it next year. They're bringing everybody back from their on both sides of the ball that were integral parts of their team. Everybody that mattered on their team is coming back, which has never happened before. Like it literally has never happened before where you have a Super Bowl team and everybody comes
Everybody
back.
comes back.
Um, so
And I agree with
definitely a
you
good
too
pick.
with the Packers. I
Yep.
really do. The only reason that I didn't even go Packers as my early favorite is because I'm unsure of what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers is back on that team full fledged, which I know they're not going to, they have already made it clear they're not going to trade him. But I mean, he's still trying. I mean, it's
Hmm.
so much uncertainty about that situation right now. That's the only reason I didn't say the Packers as my early favorite because I agree with you 100%. If Aaron Rodgers come back on that team with the vengeance and the feelings he have, and now they done got him a receiver in the second round and a few things around him, yeah,
Hmm.
I could completely 100% agree with you that
Yeah.
I could see them being in the Super Bowl next year.
Now we'll say this, and this is gonna surprise you. If for whatever reason the Rogers sits out and he plays hardball, they don't give him a contract, they don't trade him. Um, my pick to win the Super Bowl is the 49ers. But let me tell you why. They already made it with Garoppolo. So what's gonna happen is Garoppolo's gonna start the season. Garoppolo has shown that he could be a good quarterback throughout the season. He's gonna
Mhm.
win games with that team. The defense is coming back healthy. The offense is coming back healthy. They have more weapons on offense now. They added Brandon Ayuk. And Brandon Ayuk wasn't part of that Super Bowl winning. I mean Super Bowl team. The team that went to the Super Bowl.
Right.
They have their running back core coming back. One of the best in the league to run a game. Top offensive line, of course. George Kittle, of course. But that other tight end that they got, I don't remember his name. He ain't nothing to sneeze at. And I feel like he's going to be more of a part of the offense because he got so much run last year. So he developed. So now they got two good tight ends. One tight end, the best one in the league, and then they got another additional tight end that can play. They got two really good receivers. Great running game. I don't even have to talk about the defense. Everybody knows what the defense is. So one or two things is going to happen. The 49ers are going to be good with Garoppolo and be Super Bowl by middle of the year. Everybody's going to be saying 49ers one of the Super Bowl favorites. Or Garoppolo is going to get hurt and Trey Lance is going to come in, and then people are going to say nobody's stopping the 49ers. Because when Trey Lance comes in, he's going to make that team better day one. I can't see it no other way. I
And I
can't
don't
see it
either.
no other way.
And when you do when you're doing the show, you try to take your bias out of it because you clearly know who I feel like is going to the Super
Yeah.
Bowl in the NFC. But you try to take the bias out of it and try to make some kind of realistic thoughts because of the simple fact. I agree with you 100%, but I want to see it.
Hmm.
I want to see. I want to see Trey Lance. I want to see him on that field. But you know who I feel like. You already know how I feel about that. I was trying to be a
Yeah.
little contrarian for our fans, but you know, I'm 49ers all day, every day. But and I do feel like that's the one team that the Packers they tend to struggle with. Over the
I
last
think
couple of years, it's shown.
the reason why I feel like it's the 49ers is because the only team I feel that could have really played with that defense, played against that defense and really like played well in that conference was the Saints with Drew Brees. I don't care what anybody says. Show me when Tom Brady has played well against a good defense. He didn't play well against the Saints. It's just the Saints didn't play well against them either. Tom Brady does not play well against good defenses. And you can go back to when he was with his last year in New England. He when you play it against a mediocre arm defense, he can move the ball and light it up. Kansas City is a mediocre defense. The Packers, mediocre defense. The Saints, not.
You got to
Rams,
put pressure.
not. Bears,
it's usually
not.
that D line.
Exactly.
If you can put pressure on Tom Brady, he is not going to be successful.
So if the 49ers revert back to what they were a year ago, the Bucs not beating them. The defense is too good. The defense is better than any defense that they faced last year. It's just that the 49ers were injured.
Right.
So I can't see the Bucs getting past the 49ers if they are healthy.
And they still had a top defense with all the injuries.
And the only team that I could see, the only teams that I could see getting past the 49ers are teams who have offenses that actually are multifaceted. And the quarterback can
we tend to struggle against running quarterbacks. That's was the even in our Super Bowl year, that was our Achilles heel. Like even though we beat them, we struggled against Kyler Murray. We struggled against Russell Wilson. We tend to struggle against mobile. And when I say mobile quarterbacks, I mean really mobile. Not like
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers or somebody, or even Patrick Mahomes. Not that kind of mobile. I'm talking about mobile like Kyler Murray, like Lamar Jackson, like Russell Wilson.
Like, yeah.
People who can take off and run 40 yards down the field, and you be like, you don't know what happened. You just look up and it's like, whoa. Even Aaron Rodgers early in his career, but not now. That's just not him. But it's gonna be real hard to beat the 49ers, and we all saw that when you're not mobile.
Yeah. Now we'll say this: a couple of my dark horses in the NFC for sure. The Bears. Bears is always they have a good defense. If Justin Fields is as advertised, they're gonna be somebody to look out for. The Saints, our defense has not changed. Our defense is still going to be a good defense, at least as far as on paper and the names that are coming back. What the question mark is who's going to be the quarterback. If Jameis Winston somehow is able to turn a new leaf and be the quarterback that people thought he could be coming out of college, because he has all the physical tools you need. Like if you look at him and you look at Drew Brees without knowing who they are as quarterbacks, you would look at Jameis Winston and say, give me that guy, because of his height, his arm strength. He just has the intangible. I mean, he has the athleticism that you really want when you look at a quarterback. But he does not, of course, he's not a Drew Brees, not even close. But being around Brees and being with Peyton, if he's the number one starter and he goes out and he plays well, the Saints could be more explosive than they were with Brees the last couple of years because of what he can do with his arm.
I think they will be, actually. I tend to think people don't realize that how good Jameis Winston is.
Yeah, people got short memories.
Let me point out something for y'all that forgot. Jameis Winston did lead the league in touchdown passes a year ago and passing yards, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But let me also
5,000 yards.
Yeah, but let me also chime in the fact that he did have Bruce Arians. And if y'all were paying attention last year, did you see what Tom Brady looked like before they changed into doing what he wanted to do and not what Bruce Arians wanted to do? He looked like crap. When they were following Bruce Arians' system, Tom Brady looked like crap. They were like, at the beginning of the year, everybody was saying, this team, I don't know if they're going to be able to get it together. It's going to take them some time to work out their chemistry. Mm-hmm. It had nothing to do with chemistry. It was the fact that you put a quarterback in a system he's not built to run. Jameis Winston, maybe, who had, I think, five different coaches in 5 years, or 3 or 4 different offensive coordinators, has had no consistency as far as who his coaches and stuff were his whole time that he's been in the NFL. Please, people, take it into account. The dude got talent. He seriously has talent. And he's really, really good. Sometimes it's not about you. Sometimes it's about the situation that you're in. And let's be honest. Did Chris Godwin look better with Jameis Winston or Tom Brady?
Yeah, he looks
Did
better.
did did, did Mike Evans look better or worse with Tom Brady versus Jameis Winston? No, but also guess what? They didn't have Antonio Brown. They didn't have Rob Gronkowski. They didn't have 5 or 6, 7 weapons for Jameis Winston to go to. So when you
Yeah,
look at the totality of everything, I don't care what y'all say about a OJ Howard or whoever it is, they are not Gronk and Cameron Brate. Cameron Brate was almost obsolete last year.
hmm
When Gronk came to the team, everybody's like, "Oh, Gronk ain't got it no more. Gronk gonna be blocking it." He was at the beginning when they were running Bruce Arians' offense.
yeah.
You saw what happened when they changed to Tom Brady's. What happened? So, and let's just be honest about it. Jameis Winston's gonna be nice
I
with
hope
Sean
so.
Payton. He went to the
Hope
perfect
so.
situation, bro, and he got a year to wait and sit behind Drew and learn. That you can't even put a value on what that's gonna bring. Jameis Winston gonna shock a lot of people this year. That's one of
I
the
hope
teams that
so.
I'm worried about.
So I hope that's the case. What's gonna give me more confidence in that is when the opening day starters announced. The one thing I worry about with Jameis is not his talent and not the people that are working with him, but his mentality. He seems to have a weak, at least when he's with Tampa, he seems to have a weak mentality. We'll see. We'll see. But if not, Taysom Hill, while I don't have the most faith in him as a passer, we were able to be semi successful with him. So we'll see. But the Bears, definitely the Bears. I think the Saints quarterback situation is going to determine how successful they are. And um, for me, then you have the normal teams. You have the Seattle Seahawks, who you got to look out for because Russell Wilson. You got the Rams with Matthew Stafford. I think they
I
are
want to
going
see how
to
that's
be.
gonna look.
I think they're going to be much better. Matthew Stafford can throw the ball. He's a great quarterback. People just forget that he's been playing in Detroit for so long. They stopped talking about him. But Matthew Stafford has been playing well. He played well last year. When
Man,
he
they
wasn't
always
hurt.
talk about that
You know,
gunslinger arm. They talk about Patrick Mahomes. They talk about Aaron Rodgers. Matthew Stafford got that arm, bro.
and he got a good core receivers to throw the ball to.
Because
He got
man,
deep threats. He got short on route receivers. I mean, he got
Cap, I
good
don't think
running
I've ever
game.
seen people throw the ball with the accuracy and the zip on the ball at the different angles in which he
hmm
throws them, and he makes it look effortless. Like this dude throwing sidearm passes 40 yard down the field. You like what the like, and it's normal for him. It's like Jay Cutler had that kind of arm. He just
Yeah.
didn't have the mentality,
No.
but bruh, Matthew Stafford got an arm. Like if y'all never watched Matthew Stafford in a full game, like actually,
Yeah.
because me and Capel actually watch a lot of games on Fancast and things like that. Teams you wouldn't normally get to watch play on a regular basis. If you get to see Matthew Stafford play, that boy can sling it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting. Talking about basketball got me kind of excited. I mean, football got me kind of excited, but we
For
still got
real,
a
it's a
ways
lot
to
to look
go.
forward to this year,
Yeah.
man.
So about to wrap it up. We got L's to give out. You got L's to give out. I got an L to give out. And I was gonna give out a different L earlier. Actually, I was thinking about what L to give out until you thought about the Cowboys at Super Bowl.
Dude, dude. Nah, man. You gotta, you just, I just have to, I have to understand the reality of as much. I'm one of the biggest Cowboy haters.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate them. I can't stand them.
So
They're
you are right in trying to be objective. I'm not finna give you an L, cuz. But what I'm gonna say to that is it's never been about the personnel players on the team. It's always about the front office.
you
And
know what?
until that
That's why.
changes,
But this is my thing.
I can't even consider them. I don't
This is
care
my
who's on that
thing.
team.
That's the reason I'm considering them because I want you to understand something. The front office, the people haven't changed, but the way they operate has. If you notice what I mean by that, the draft picks. They're actually making smart moves now. Jerry Jones is not making the decisions on draft picks anymore.
They've been doing that. They've been making smarter moves. That's how they started off with Tony Romo with that offensive line.
No, remember Johnny Manziel? Remember that's when it started. When they went Zach Martin over Johnny Manziel.
Yes, I know that's when it started. That's what I'm saying. They've been making good draft picks. They've been, if I had to really be honest, Dallas has probably made some of the better draft picks throughout the league in recent years. They've made good picks. CeeDee Lamb was an excellent pick. Some people thought that they should go somewhere else because they already had the good receivers, but CeeDee Lamb actually was a good pick for that spot.
It was a great pick.
And so I don't think it's not the players. Like the drafting of it is not the issue. It is the coaching and the front office. The coaching, number one, they got the wrong coach. They just got the wrong coach. They shouldn't have got him. Your defense sucked. It didn't suck because you had terrible players. It sucked because of your scheme and what you're trying to get these players to do, and that's not the best. That wasn't the best type of defense to run for the Dallas Cowboys and personnel you had. Now, would they have been the top defense if you would have did something different? No, but they wouldn't have been as bad. And then, again, your culture is defined by the leaders of your team, which usually is your coaches. The defense, a lot of times, were just playing terrible. Missing assignments. Like, that is not preparation. That has nothing to do with skill level. That is not preparation. That's not coaches making sure that people are prepared. They got people on the team talking about the coaching staff, saying that they're not this and they're not that. That's a front office coaching problem. So until that is fixed, I will never have faith in the Cowboys. I don't care who's on their team. So it has to happen for me. Every year the Cowboys come in, people saying the Cowboys are going to be this. Look at this team. Look at this. When have the Cowboys had an actual bad team on paper? Like, when was the last time you looked at their team and said, oh, the Cowboys, they're just not that good on paper? It's been a long time since you could actually say that. They've always, lately, at least in the last 10 years, they've had good teams on paper. So, I mean, I see what you're saying.
A lot of the things that I'm taking into account is the fact that, well, and you're right, but I also will say, yeah, they did hire Mike McCarthy is not the coach, but it also was his first year. And I saw I seen what he did with Dak Prescott in the first 4 games before he got hurt. I saw what that offense looked like. And I'm not giving that all to Mike McCarthy. I'm not going to say that.
I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say,
no,
I saw what the offense looked like. I saw what their stat line looked like before the fourth quarter when they was down by 20 points. And then Dak Prescott was getting them dink and dunks and them easy passes. I was playing prevent.
I was going there. And that's kind of where I was going with that. I saw the potential.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the potential in that offense, the CeeDee Lambs, and just the way they played. And I felt like even a couple of those games, even if the defense could have at least halfway kept them in it. But like I say, yeah, you down 20-0, and you want to say, damn, the quarterback. But no, maybe it's a little bit of both. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're down 20-0 because your defense can't stop nobody. Sometimes you need a little bit of both. Yeah, you put Tom Brady in a 20-0 hole and he got a terrible defense. He's probably not going to win that game. He probably going to be dinking and dunking toward the end of the game trying to come back. I mean, it's just the reality of it. It's a whole team thing, but I can't. I just have to be. I have to be honest with myself and say I can't ignore Dallas this year. I really think they got something to prove, and it has nothing to do with the coaching or anything. It's what's happened to him the previous years. Ezekiel Elliott, I would be very surprised not to see him come with a bone on his shoulder, with a bone to pick. The fumbling last year. I think he got a chip on his shoulder. You got Dak Prescott, chip on his shoulder. He come back from an ankle injury. They didn't want to sign him. He finally get his money. I think we're gonna see the best Dak we've seen so far. Those are the reasons. It's nothing to do with the. I think at some point the coaching and everything plays an integral role. It's probably the most important. But when it comes down to it, when you got the players and they put it in their mind that we're going to do this, I don't care who's coaching them.
Yeah. Okay. Sound synopsis. I mean, not synopsis, but sound logic.
But I do not think they're going to the Super Bowl. I was just trying to be, like I said, he forced it out of me. I didn't even want to say it. I didn't even want to say it. I knew how bad it was going to sound if I said it, and he
You
made me
thought
say
it,
it.
man. You thought it. That was bad enough.
Yeah,
But
it's,
you
I
got
give you
any
that though.
you
I
got
give you that.
anybody holding the L this week?
And yes, yes, I have two people. We already know the first one, Michael Rappaport.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, dude, he is gonna hold the L until unless this show ever gets canceled. He will be on the L every week. Secondly, the Green Bay Packers. I may have gave y'all the L last week
No,
or the week
you didn't.
before last. We missed last week, but I need to give it to you again for botching this whole situation with Aaron Rodgers so bad. Last time you saw a quarterback of Aaron Rodgers' caliber want to be traded and not happy with the team he's with. They haven't taken care of him. They haven't left him out of decision making. Don't even inform him of what they're doing in the drafts and stuff like that. Like, what team does that? I mean, you got team. They were telling Jared Goff. They were telling Nick Foles. They told Nick Foles they were drafting Justin Fields. Nick Foles. They had enough respect to tell him that. You ain't got enough respect for Aaron Rodgers, who's going to be one of the greatest, not going to be already one of the greatest quarterbacks and players of all time when it comes to the NFL, and you got him to the point he don't want to play for you? What the hell is wrong with y'all? Come on, Green Bay. Hold this L. Y'all got to get it together, man. There's no reason on God's green earth that Aaron freaking Rodgers should not want to be on your team.
Yeah. That's a good one, but I got a better one for you. Urban Meyer got to hold his L. Urban Meyer got to hold his L for signing Tim Tebow to the squad to play tight end. Tim Tebow is 34 years old, I think. Never played tight end. Been out of football for 9 years. And he signed Tim Tebow because he thinks he's going to be a great locker room presence and that he could possibly help the team be successful. And Jimmy Smith, one of the best quarterbacks that ever played for Jacksonville, really, really good cornerback, came by and said that this is what the team needs. Jimmy Smith, is he part of the front office now? Does he work for Jacksonville? He's not playing no more, right?
No.
Jimmy Smith's not playing. Yeah,
No.
So maybe he's trying to get a job, and they was like, "Hey, we need you to back us up. Won't you go on media and say this?" Because I heard him say that. I was like, "Man, you sound so stupid." Tim Tebow.
Look.
Tim Tebow.
I even heard somebody come out and say that, well, like you said, what Urban Meyer said, to help the morale and all. Urban. Superstar athletes don't follow third string tight ends.
They don't follow first string tight ends.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
I'll follow George Kittle. I'll follow Travis Kelce. But we're talking about two of the greatest probably going to be two of the greatest of all time. Like, those are literally the only two tight ends that when they tell you to do something, you like, let's go. There's no one else. Bro, your reasoning for signing Tim Tebow as far as the locker room, hey, bro, you could have let him come in and just give a speech. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's ridiculous because at the end of the day, is he really going to make the team? And if he does make the team, I think it's messed up because you taking away a roster spot from somebody. Like, it's one thing for somebody to earn a spot, but when you're given something like that, that's where this conversation comes up of privilege. It comes up of like racism, and not deliberate racism, not like you're a racist person, but like just thinking of how things like this are not afforded to other groups of people. Like
Colin
this person,
Kaepernick.
yeah, exactly. Like this Tim Tebow lives 3 houses down from Urban Meyer. They're friends. He hasn't played football in 9 years, and when he played, he wasn't that good, and he played a quarterback position. His pride wouldn't allow him to sign for a team to try out a new position when it was offered to him. A report came out earlier this week that Sean Payton offered to sign him in 2013 and told him that they want to convert him to H-back, which is basically what Taysom Hill is doing. And he was like, no, because he had this dream of playing quarterback. His pride wouldn't allow him to move to a different position. And now, because you don't have anything left, you don't have baseball, you don't have football, you still feel like you can play at a high level, you just get somebody to say, "Hey, come on and sign with me." If he was really ready to play football and people thought he was good, then anybody would have signed him, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he went to Jacksonville to a new coach who basically is prideful himself, which is why he's been a college coach for so long, because he has that control factor like a Nick Saban. But he's pretty much out of college football because of his mistakes that he's made, in the legal aspects of college football.
Mm-hmm.
So this reeks of privilege, and I don't even want to say white privilege. It's just privilege. I'm just gonna say privilege, but it reeks of privilege that other people are not afforded. And again, you got people out there working hard for these positions, and you just give one away. That's not cool.
Yeah, especially to a person that should have played tight end 10 years ago.
Exactly. So while it's funny that Tim Tebow is being signed to play tight end, it's also pretty messed up that Tim Tebow is being signed to play tight end. So Urban Meyer, hold this L, man. You just starting the season out and you making bad decisions, dude.
Yeah.
All right. So that's all we got. It's a good show. Please like, subscribe, follow. We appreciate all listeners. And that's all we got, so this is another episode of Hold This L. I'm Cappel.
And I'm Lonnie.
And we out.
Peace.